as Vista sort of went back to his previous role in support. It's very, very odd. The bottom lane is a very, very interesting meeting of sort of former, rivals and former teammates.
Sure. Well, as we head into this first draft, one of the big focal points, I think, is going to be on the Olaf here. High priority for the jungle for both of these players. Both these players picking Olaf more than any other champion, even when a lot is available. Dread's sitting at 5-1 on the champion. And this is where we are going to, this week of League of Legends, this week of LCK, is kind of the sun setting on Olaf, because as Chronicler was talking about yesterday, as we have it into 11.3 in our next few weeks of matches, it's going to be a lot less Olaf, it's going to be a lot less tank play, a lot less of those frontliners with the Gore Drinker nerf coming through. So this is one of those last times where if you're Dread, you get to play that Olaf if it's left open to you. And I think that's certainly where Afreeca should try to go with this.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of nice. We get a send-off week for Olaf, and then we never have to see him again, which I'm okay with. To be perfectly honest, I felt
at this point, yeah,
it's been one of these awkward picks. It's Fly looking like he's well, that's just a very zoomed-in shot of Fly on the camera there. Aphelios going to be the final ban here by Afreeca, which is very odd because Kais is obviously going to be the first pick, and Afreeca now without the option of picking the Aphelios Thresh in response. They are definitely a Samira team though, so they might just want to head there as, oh my goodness.
Well,
we're talking about the Olaf, that's a lot of priority on the Olaf.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing you expect to see when both of these teams prioritize Olaf so highly. A lot of other teams have just completely ignored it in this rotation, but Afreeca are thinking ahead. They want to grab the Kai'Sa here if the Olaf is taken. And that means that they have this response with also the ability to deny Hanwha Esports that second rotation on blue, Aphelios Thresh. So thinking one step ahead in that regard. Things could have gone badly for them if Hanwha Esports did pick up the Kai'Sa instead, but they will take the Lilia for Dread here.
I like that. Dread's Lilia's looked really, really good, actually. Yeah. And you were talking about his forward percentage. He does like to get in amongst it, stealing chickens away, all that sort of stuff. Arthur hovering the ribbon, that's a lot of fun, but probably not going to happen. As it's sort of like, this is one of those instances where I really want Hanwha Life for comp reasons to pick Orianna, but not for Chovy reasons, right?
Yeah.
They are going to pick away the Xayah and the Rel, so keeping their solo lanes a little bit more open until the second half of the draft. But yeah, I don't like it because I want Chovy to be on a carry, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we all want to see. And we could still see it, but, right now Orianna is the best choice, and I think Afreeca Freecs will absolutely ban it away. Just because I
think Hanwha will ban it away just because Fly plays Orianna, and you can't go much further than that on your list of champions that he's performed well on.
We'll take Chovy's Yone away first, despite the fact that it is going to be Olaf in the jungle. So a lot of respect being shown there because most teams wouldn't pick that with an Olaf roaming the jungle. See the Sylas ban here, and that's kind of a weird one considering Sylas is often picked into the Alistar, so something I was considering maybe for Hanwha Life later down as a counter pick.
I wonder what that sort of signifies. As I'm trying to think about, Sylas counters and things like that. Yeah, Twisted Fate is one of them. Fly definitely hasn't had very much success on it so far. He's 0-1, so not exactly with a huge sample size of games, but still hasn't really been, the Fly Twisted Fate of old. If you're talking about that 3 years ago, then it's certainly something that he was very, very good at, but certainly has fallen out of his wheelhouse.
I wonder if this means that Hanwha Life really want to play the Twisted Fate themselves and want to grab a strong top lane that can bully with the Twisted Fate Destinies coming through, just aggressively non-stop teleport to the top lane, look for kills, look for that aggressive top lane pressure, which hasn't really been Morgan's style so far this season. He's often played the more passive champions. Gnar is most played. He's played at Renekton and Camille both, but much earlier on. So we could see something like the Twisted Fate Camille coming through here for this last rotation, as you will see the Orianna. Looks like it's going to be picked away. And I would have liked the ban on that.
It's a bit irresponsible. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit irresponsible leaving that up for Fly just to have full comfort. Of course, Chovy very, very confident in this matchup, so maybe not too worried. And then we're going to get the Renekton Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what those bans sort of tell us.
Yeah, with the Quinn ban especially, I mean, there's no mystery here.
Yeah.
And I do like this for Hanwha Life because it's a style that they can play to try to snowball, be aggressive with. Chovy, he has played so many champions this season, so it's really hard to draft around him, but He's actually played the most games of Twisted Fate, 4, but still, it's the most he's played. This is a bit of an odd pick, though. It kind of tears apart a lot of the theories we're having about roaming to the top lane. But the Victor comes in, so stable damage, but not as much kill pressure in the top lane.
I like it though, you know, this is a Afreeca that does want to get in amongst it, you know, go for those wombos, things like that. And Victor does have a lot of zone control with his Chaos Storm, with his Gravity Field, things like that. Certainly does work out, as Keen is going to go down a different route as the Ornn is picked up. A fantastic matchup into the Renekton historically, and also does round out this composition extremely well for Afreeca. Like, this is quintessential LCK scaling draft. Get into the late game, team fight, throw around Ornn items, get an automatic gold lead just because you have so many more stats, and then win from there.
Yeah, it feels very safe. This could definitely be a draft 2 where we see Dread draft Moonstone, because the poke damage that you're going to be dealing with the Victor on the other side actually could end up stacking against you in those longer fights if you can't have a consistent engage, which they should be able to have, right, with the Ornn, with the Alistar, and the Orianna. Like, there's so many ways to actually set up for nice shockwaves and Ornn horns, but if the fight does go longer, or if you're in a skirmish where you've already used your ultimates or you kind of blew your engages, that Lilia Moonstone could be strong. So something to consider for sure going in this draft, because otherwise the damage output this team is going to have, I think, is pretty stable. You've got a really nice scaling comp, and Afreeca, it feels like they got a pretty meta comp here. Dread didn't get his Olaf, but otherwise I think everybody on the side of Afreeca is very happy with this. And on the side of Hanwha Esports, a little bit weird they left the Orianna open, didn't commit to the Twisted Fate mid. Feels like there was some indecision in this draft on the side of Hanwha that might come back to bite them.
Well, I mean, as long as they build magic resist, I think they're going to be fine, to be honest. Because there is way too much magic damage on the side of Afreeca. They all do magic damage. Even Bang on the Kai'Sa, he could go Nash's Tooth just to fit in with his friends, you know? He's not going to do that because they need someone to do something physical to this enemy team. But we'll see whether it's going to work out here for Hanwha Esports, who certainly do have the more rounded damage profile on their composition. As far as top side of the map, though, the 2v2 is all AD versus all AP. So that might help Keen actually do okay in the top matchup. An early Bramble Vest will be very, very valuable for this Ornn.
Yeah, I think so. And this Rel pick, you know, we saw it once yesterday. Certainly is really starting to become very much the top tier support pick. It used to be, okay, you have Samira Rel, that seems pretty strong. Otherwise, it felt very niche. But it's just kind of becoming, you know, A tier, S tier support across all matchups. And, you know, we're mostly seeing Xayah versus the Kai'Sa right now because of the bans. The otherwise bans are too strong, right? You don't want to leave open the Talia, you don't want to leave open the Pantheon. So that's just where it goes.
No, I think it's okay. I think the Rel also fits very well with this composition, as you know, Rel and the Renekton can get in there. Magnet Storm pulls everyone into Cull the Meek and all of the Dominus damage, and just the Crocodile being a Crocodile, and then you got a Chaos Storm to layer down on top of it. So it is going to be a lot of damage here. We'll see whether Deft actually has enough peel in this composition. Of course, he does have self peel with the Featherstorm, things like that. Fairly self-sufficient, 80 carry, but once that Featherstorm's down, everybody else kind of wants to go in. So we'll see how team fights are going to work out here.
Yeah, he didn't take cleanse, so that's something that is going to make it a little bit. You know, he's not like completely immortal with the Featherstorm, but he's going to feel very safe. And this is a lane for Lehens and Bang too, where they're going to have to play a little bit more on the back foot against the Rel, which is very frustrating for them. I feel playstyle wise, right, for Lehens, he usually doesn't like to be the one who sits back. He likes to be getting Bang up 20 CS early on in the game. Not going to be the case here.
No, they're getting pushed in already, as you can see. Dread, though, having a pretty good time as he makes his way around the jungle. Arthur as well, keeping himself as low health as he can, as Olaf loves to do. An interesting start here. I believe it was going to be it was Dread stealing away the chickens first up, or it was a chicken start here for Arthur. I should have actually kept a little bit more of an eye on where things happened. I think it was Arthur just making sure that his chicken camp didn't get stolen, and then went towards his top side.
I think that's correct. You know, I really like the Olaf with the Rel as well, because he can just walk wherever he wants with his Ragnarok as well to set up those really nice attract repels. Ends up being really nice to chase down enemies who are trying to escape. It's great for setting up very deep stuns into the back line. So something we saw yesterday, actually, that I was thinking about, where it's just so difficult to track down this Olaf and prevent him from setting up big stuns, because the Rel can just sit back and be safe, but the stun gets extended out really far because the Olaf has so much pushing power. If he gets behind, obviously it gets a lot harder, but in an even game or even slightly behind, it's a very strong engage tool. It's hard to counterplay against it.
Ooh, Dread gonna be discovered here as he's taking down this Rift Scuttler bottom side. Same thing to be happening here as Arthur is going to secure his, and now Dread actually pushed away as Chovy was making his way in. Deft and Vista also getting out of their lane. We'll see whether this means that the Olaf's able to come in and try and get some work done against Dread. Level 4 for both of our junglers is now a bit of an engage. Vista goes in. Lahens, though, just going to walk his way out. And it looks like Hanwha Life are going to get priority, despite the fact that Bang does get a bit of damage down. That's going to be the smite. And Arthur does pick that one up. Good undertow there on a couple of members as Gravity Storm is good. Arthur still just running away, but Dread not able to actually follow up with any kill or anything like that as he gets himself into this brush. This is actually getting a bit dangerous as Arthur might need to step back as Dread does steal away the big chicken.
He really doesn't want to give these up, but unfortunately he just doesn't really have a choice. In these extended trades with the Lilia versus Olaf, especially when Lilia's not alone and can just kind of sit there and keep slapping him and spinning on him, he just he gets burnt down early on in the game and isn't going to be able to do anything. So to try to walk forward there to contest would have been suicidal, as a bit of a trade up here.
Yeah, I like that. Getting a bit dicey onto Keen right there. Goes down to about half health. But Keen's still shoving this lane and going to be very, very comfortable, especially as that Bramble Vest does get completed. A couple of cloth armors already put together. And we know that, you know, Ornn in this matchup, it can go badly sometimes if the Renekton's are, you know, extremely good. But most of the time we see Ornn have a lot of priority in this lane.
Looks like very deep rotation in here actually for Keen. They actually want to catch Arthur here.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to take this away. Does get the
Bambi's
smite.
just dancing around, as you can see. But Arthur is going to get the smite on the Big Wolf. So that's definitely good news for him as Afreeca do move their way out. And Dread, he's well and truly sticking to his MO, right?
Yeah.
He has been inside the enemy jungle almost this whole game.
I mean, that's what he does, and they've clearly done their prep, and they're trying to punish him for it. And, you know, it hasn't been as successful as they're looking for, but they are making his life hard. And I love this matchup for Keen. You talked about it earlier about how he could just kind of build armor and be fine. He's dealing with an Olaf Renekton on the top side, and because he's Ornn, it doesn't even have to back to do that. It makes the lane even more stable for him. So instead of backing, right, because he's Ornn, he actually just takes a little bit of time to push into the jungle, be aggressive, try to harass Arthur, try to make his life difficult. But now Arthur's making the rotation himself up here.
Yeah, checking out the Krug camp, but there's nothing there. Now thinking about a potential dive.
Yes,
Morgan does have Dominus available, but yeah, Keen's very healthy, and he has the Bramble Vest already completed. This is one of the problems, right? When you've got a single damage profile in your top side of the map. Still, Morgan with a big advantage, and if they could have pushed Keen away from this minion wave, then that's definitely high value, but not able to. And so he's still going to be able to pick up all of this farm underneath the turret, while Morgan deals with the minions behind it and goes for a cheeky recall.
Yeah. Nothing too crazy here on the top side of the map, but you know, meanwhile Dread stole away another chicken camp, I believe, and is now just headed over towards his side of the jungle. As the bot lane is still, you know, been a little bit pushed in by Hanwha Life's duo, but they haven't been able to capitalize on that at all just yet. We're still early on in the game. There's no Drake take. There was only that aggressive fight over the. What did Chronicler call it yesterday? Scuffle?
Yeah,
ruffle scuffle?
It was a scuffle over the ruffles, or I don't know. It was just not a word. But it's okay.
Scuffle
like
ruffle down there. Yeah, there was.
He
a
made me
bit
feel
of that.
uncomfortable because you know. Then he said, "Is it because I'm Dutch and you're making fun of me?" And I was very uncomfortable after that because I was like, "No, that's not why. It's not a word, Chronicler.
It's
I'm
a type
sorry."
of chip, you know.
Is it another one of his Stroop waffles or something?
I
He
mean,
brought us a few of those, if you remember. We need to try them.
once he gets out, we're
Yeah.
definitely gonna grab some of those. But yeah, the ruffles are a type of potato chip that are like, I don't know, they're ridged, they're ruffled. But
aren't ruffles those things that are on clothes, like olden days clothes?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think you can. I mean, a ruffle does happen in clothing, but you know, I don't wear enough ruffles to really understand. I imagine chat just assumes we're saying ruffle over and over again.
Probably.
Which I think is fine. Morgan up here getting pushed in now, but he's doing great as far as the farm is concerned. But he's a Renekton against an Ornn. He's probably going to have free farm. The thing that's scary is that Ornn also gets a bit of a free lane here. As Arthur's making his way up, Dread's here. Morgan actually losing out on this trade quite effectively as Dread's going to take an undertow, and now they're going to try and turn it. There's the Ornn Keen flashing early. Knockup does land onto the Renekton. First blood goes over to the Olaf, but it's traded back immediately, and the Ragnarok is popped. Arthur unable to get that extra damage onto Dread as Shockwave comes through. And Fly takes some turret shots as we're just trading our buttons as often as we can, and Bang rotates in because he wants in on the action.
He wanted in, but not going to be able to make anything happen. Wanted to relieve a little bit of that pressure onto Fly, or away from Fly, but unsuccessful. And just a faster gank there for Arthur. Dread, you know, even though he's literally just not able to close that gap as quickly, and the Ornn is just too late to turn the fight, to get the first blood. Obviously, it still is a trade. But in terms of getting first blood, maybe turning that into a 2-0 in the top is just not there in time. We are going to see the risk
crash down.
Or,
yeah, a little bit of a battle on a couple of fronts, but Lahen's taking a lot of damage here. The Ignite actually ticking down onto him as Keen has full health. Morgan as well has made his way in, so some burly boys in on this fight, but a bit too split on the side of Afreeca. And also Bang is on the bottom side of the map, and Hanwha Life are going to be able to grab Shelly to start this one off. Bang does get some much needed respite down here, but he's not able to actually convert it into turret plates or anything like that. And Deft should get down here and only miss maybe 1 or 2 CS, so it's no harm, no foul for Hanwha.
Yeah, not going to be anything too crazy there. And it's a Cloud Drake to start things off, so pretty unusual for you. Actually, Brendan having the highest percentage of those, as it turns out.
Yeah, there's actually, if you have a look at our Twitter, a gentleman kindly went over every single LCK game so far to find out who was the true bringer of Cloud Souls, and it was in fact Brendan.
I have the most, but I've also casted the most games so far, but I don't have the highest percentage.
Yeah, 34% though is pretty high.
Yeah, it's
over a third, and it should be 25% theoretically if statistics work. But
we'll
I mean, you know, it's one of these probability situations, and when the sample size is low, you're not going to get those numbers to be perfect. There's Crash down from Vista, gets him out of the way, puts his horse back on his clothes, and Dread has started off this Drake.
Yeah.
We'll see whether Hanwha are going to be able to actually contest this one. No teleport from Morgan.
Yeah,
he's making his way down. Keen's nowhere near this fight, and Deft also not able to get in. The 50-50 won by Dread, and Afreeca are just going to walk their way out. So it's a nice little prize for Afreeca.
Yeah, because Keen is still pushing top. You know, we had the slow walk down from Morgan, but he wasn't able to get there. So this ends up being really nice for Afreeca. And they needed to trade this back after losing the Rift Herald. Neither of these teams have particularly strong skirmish team compositions, you know, for this early game. We don't have anything like a Yone. You know, there's no Talia here, so there's no great isolation. In team fights, there's not a lot of CC. You know, Dread's got his sleep now, but you know, there's no way to get some sort of, you know, really awesome advantage where you cut a team fight in half in one of these skirmishes. So it is very slow going, and it is based on rotation speed a lot of the time in this early game. So very important that Afreeca are able to get this away. As speaking of Keen,
yep, knockup does land onto Morgan, but not able to actually get the first part of the ram. And he's going to miss that cannon. Oh, thank you so much, Jonas Strong. I'm going to assume that he got it for my own sanity. As it's going to be Deft that picks up all the value of these plates. And yes, stop talking about it. Stop talking. We don't need to talk about it, Wolf. Okay.
I looked at the 116 and it didn't change. Okay.
Oh, no. Well, he might get a kill. That would be good news. As Keen down to about 200. Morgan's still looking for this dive as he gets under the turret. Slice and dice will be available. There's the flash forward. Stuns not even necessary as Morgan just wipes the floor with the Ornn.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, this goes back to the fact that Keen didn't have flash, and he used his Ornn just previously, right? Like, he was extremely aggressive with that, and a bit overzealous, you know, especially looking at the results of this, right? If you go results based on it, definitely was not the right play. But tries to get a kill onto Morgan, tries to force him to flash even, is able to get neither. And then Morgan is just like, well, I have better tools than you now. I'm just going to turn this right around. So Ends up being a big misplay from Keen on the top side of the map that's going to cost him actually quite a bit. And what was a great and stable lane early on is really starting to snowball against him now. I mean, watching this part is, I think, the least important. He has the stun and the Damas because he didn't use that either. And Keen has no flash, so Morgan's flash advantage going to get the kill. Easy peasy. Didn't even have to stun twice, as you said.
Yeah. A little bit too easy is what it felt like. So, bit of a problem for Keen. And yeah, all that talk about, you know, he can just build armor and be okay. Well, it doesn't really work. You get solo killed this early into the game. So Morgan going to be snowballing very nicely right now as Lehen's moving on in. Tracked repel onto Deft. And Vista going to allow Deft to clear out this minion wave very, very nicely. You can see that lead on the top side, over 1.5k. And Morgan with his Gore Drinker is now just going to chase Keen down forever. And the Bellows Breath, not enough to stop Morgan from just, just laying down the hurt. This is it's getting real scary, Wolf.
Yeah, it is definitely a really unhappy time. Obviously, the scaling later on is going to be better for the Ornn versus the Renekton, but things can start to change very quickly. The pace of the game is going to be sped up by a nice advantage like this and the huge Gore Drinker power spike for Morgan. And you can see he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to hit your turret for free, and I can proxy some minions because you literally can do nothing. And they also know that that Arthur's on the other side, or rather, Dread is not on this side of the map because he'd already passed up here earlier, so there's nothing for him to be taking on this side of the map. And Dread's going to try to make something of it here onto Chovy.
Yep, but Chovy's just going to walk up, and that's going to mean that Dread's not able to actually get on in there. Afreeca, they are in this river, but there's no Drake for another minute's time. And what is this, Morgan? What?
I mean, it's a proxy.
He's in the enemy nexus. Is this his Singed cosplays? We've got an engagement here towards the bottom side. Fly immediately eradicated. And Hanwha Life going to try and press on forward. Arthur stops for a second as he's just hanging out. I don't know, having fun. As the Renekton's now just clearing out the enemy jungle. This has gone from bad to worse way more quickly than I was expecting.
Well, I mean, you mentioned
Chovy on this turret now.
You mentioned it earlier. This is a good matchup for Olaf. It's very safe. Or not for Olaf, for Ornn. It's very safe. It's very stable. And he gets to build armor against two ADs in the top lane, two Gore Drinkers are going to be facing right, and he just is fallen super far behind now. And with Morgan getting that very fast Gore Drinker, you just can't contest it. And whenever they know that Dread isn't nearby, he can just rotate around. Now he's like, okay, I got my demolition again. And Keen misses the ult.
Well, the flash forward, everyone misses everything. Morgan's doing the walking away slowly tactic, and it's working so well. One auto attack, that's all they got for that one. As Keen invested flash, Ornn, they lost the turret. This is a disaster. Go next. Oh my God.
Yeah. This is a game where now Hanwha Life Esports just have total control over the map for the rest of the game. The Drake is up, and I mean, right now you can see Dread is trying to make something happen here because I think he thought they were going to make a play for the Drake. They're going to actually instead contest this. It looks like they were going to contest as Arthur does rotate up now. And Deft is getting free farm, so no matter what, like, Hanwha Life Esports are winning this exchange because they can just rotate back to the Drake too.
And also, like, Shelly matters so much less than Shelly as well. So I know we probably shouldn't be playing favorites when it comes to the sisters, but Shelly does just give you a lot more gold, given that those plates are going to exist. So, of course, getting free farm onto your Xayah is going to feel good, as even Deft is trying to steal farm away from Dread.
It's just, I mean, there's not much to say about the state of where we are. The Renekton snowball, the explosion that we had up there in the early game just makes it so difficult for a jungler like Dread to make plays happen practically because he's so squishy. You know, if you have a jungler that's able to poke like Nidalee in this situation, or you have a tankier jungle like the Olaf in here, then maybe, you know, you could try to make a play. You could try to force the Renekton back. You can try to make some trades happen, but even asleep isn't enough to turn those fights around, especially when you're getting out-rotated, your farm is getting stolen away. So it's really difficult with a squishy jungler like Dread to stop this snowball from happening, because he'll just simply die if he tries to contest. He's down 2 levels at the moment versus the Renekton. Chovy's winning lane. I mean, the gold chart across the board is like, it's not looking good for Afreeca Freecs right now.
No.
Drake has been taken as well for Hanwha Life, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, Dread, I don't know if this is the fight you want to take.
I don't know where he was bowling for that one either. Just throws it into the Baron Pit for some reason. Not going to be finding the Renekton at all. It is going to be the Moonstone build for Dread. We'll see whether the Staff of Flowing Water comes in, but we've mostly just seen Moonstone just to allow Dread to stay relevant as the game goes on. Not going to be offering too much damage, but they have, like we mentioned earlier, way too much magic damage anyway, so his is not required. So I do like that particular choice. Would like Staff of Flowing Water as well, especially when you've got Fly that can get augmented with the extra AP. Bang also benefits very, very much from it.
I think they probably will build it, you know, if we get to that stage in the game, if they live long enough to get a chance to. Is second Rift Herald, the middle child of the Baron Pit.
Oh no, that's so true. Disaster. I've never thought of it that way, and it's way sadder for Shirley.
Never want to be the middle child objective, but look, gets a turret. You know, not every second Rift Herald gets to say that. Not every Shirley gets a whole turret. So one of the luckier ones.
Yeah, it's okay. Shout out to all the middle child children out there. You know, I think our mate Brendan Valdez, he's one of them. I believe, or is he the youngest? I can't quite remember.
I think he is middle.
Yeah, that's what I sort of thought. However,
he has two older brothers, I think, and a younger sister, so he's like kind of middle. He's one of the middle.
Yeah, he's one of the in the middle. And my dad's also a middle child as well. He's got a twin brother and sister who are younger than him, and then 3 older siblings or something like that. There's a lot of children in that family.
I'm the older one. Nothing special about that. Nothing interesting or unique about that.
I just invented an extra aunt or uncle, actually. He's only got 2 older than him. I don't even know my own family. What is wrong with me? I've been in Korea too long. As Hanwha Life, they're going to push into the enemy jungle. I'm going to try and stop thinking about my family tree. And Deft is going to think about this outer turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, and there's just nothing Afreeca can do about this. And look at where Chovy is, too. He's just pushing the side lane. There's pings coming down. But Vista's here. And this is that synergy I was talking about with the Olaf and the Rel, where the Rel is just always attached to the Olaf because it's just going to be safe no matter what, and you always get a guaranteed stun if he just pops his ultimate and walks forward. So you can't even like walk through the jungle when the Rel is attached to the Olaf. Yukal gets that, or not Yukal, excuse me, it's Victor, so that's what's in my head. Chovy gets that insane push. He's 30 CS up, 37 CS up, in fact, at the moment. And Atlas, this is just one of those games where Afreeca, I mean, they just have to try to stabilize here. They have to try to make sure they don't get further behind. You can lose your outer turrets and still come back in this game if you have a few good engages, you know, some big sleeps, a big shockwave, you know, then those Ornhorns come through in the choke points. But there are ways to win this game with the way their comp scales. But there's no deaths on the side of Bang just yet. He's not that far behind in CS. Like, he is going to start to come online here in the next few minutes as he starts to get his second, third items up. But right now, it's hard to take anything back as Afreeca because you're just simply, you don't have any control over the map, and you can't move through the jungle safely.
Yeah, I think the vision control has just been exceptional by Hanwha throughout this game, and it's what's equated to this almost 6,000 gold lead, which is basically farm-based and objective-based, right? Like, it's the extra couple of turrets, it's all of this jungle farm that's been basically belonging to Hanwha almost this whole game. Because like 3-1 in kills is not like, that's not a, a kill snowball type game. It's not like there was a fight that was won and then things eventuated. This was like a solo kill from a Renekton, a fight on the top side of the map, that's pretty standard for the early game, and then Hanwha Life playing the map infinitely better than Afreeca.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan just took the map by the horns, and he grabbed it, man, and he took control of the top side. He proxied twice. He got 2 whole minion waves, then stole jungle camps away from Dread, and then came in when Dread was trying to farm and forced him out of the jungle again because you just can't take an exchange with a Renekton. You're just not going to ever win that, as the Moonstone is completed now.
Oh, flagging a flash.
Yeah. Moonstone's complete. That's going to help, against some of the poke that we're going to have in these upcoming fights that you're going to see from Chovy. But the thing is, like, can you even approach a fight as Afreeca? You're definitely not going to contest this Drake.
Nope.
Because you're just too far behind at the moment. And you need more time for Bang to start to farm up, get that second item online. Later on the third. I mean, that's where you're praying you're going in this game if you're Afreeca.
The thing that I'm a little bit worried about as well is that Afreeca do have wards on the map, but they've got multiple wards topside that are actually giving them pretty much nothing. Like, this is allowing Bang to farm further up in the lane, yes, but that's just trying to secure farm for the Kai'Sa and not actually, placing vision around the next objective that they want to try and contest. This is like Afreeca showing that they absolutely concede all of these objectives, and that they believe that Bang can try and get to a carryable position as this game goes on. But it feels like a desperation tactic, right? Well, like we're investing like 3 control wards to the top side and your jungler at this stage, just so that Bang can move up in this lane and collect, you know, a couple of waves of farm.
I mean, the timing on it is good because the only objective at the moment is the Baron, but for the previous Drake, it's an issue, and you don't have any vision of what Morgan is doing, because right now, Hanwha Esports, they got 2 junglers, man. Morgan is like, okay, I'll take care of the red side farm, you can keep the blue side farm, Arthur, we'll kind of split it up that way, as he has just been everywhere. I mean, he is constantly clearing vision, he is constantly harassing anyone who tries to come over. And just do jungle farm or rotate around to try to even get vision on the Drake pit. Again, the next Drake not up for 3.5 minutes, so this is the more relevant vision here, but it's not long lasting. Even like you said, it got Bang some free farm, but there was never a way they were going to be able to make a play for this Baron. They were never going to be able to hold on to this vision, and it was a lot of money spent. I mean, 3 controllers, like you said, that's not free. That's a lot of money spent on vision that didn't end up being that impactful, but you got to try something if you're Afreeca.
Well, Kane in a bit of trouble here, but he's starting to get very tanky. Randuin's Omen already in. Deft is going to be able to take away the enemy red buff. Now Hanwha moving around this Baron. Deft pushing a little bit further forward. As Afreeca feeling like their comp is starting to come online, you can see starting to make some moves. As Kane is, you know, now with a couple of items built up and an ornament. Certainly is a little bit bigger, as he's also upgraded Flyers Ludens as well. Like that. Typhoon to come in next.
Yeah. You would imagine, and right now for Afreeca, they're just trying to play around this Baron vision, trying to make sure that they can prevent Hanwha Esports from starting it. And you can set up for a really nice engage here if you're Afreeca around the Baron pit. Like, these are the fights you want to take in these choke points where you have a vision advantage.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that Afreeca can do, and actually as the game goes on, it feels like their comp gets better and better, right? You know, you're going to flood the inventory with Ornn items. That's going to shore up your issue when it comes to the gold. Typhoon just completed there for Bang as well. So, you know, shout out to Kane. You know, that was the best play that he's made all game. Given a bunch of items over. And that's the value that you get from Ornn, right? He's just one of those champions that does just give a lot. Just for existing.
The question now becomes about is do Afreeca feel comfortable to take this next Drake fight in 1 minute and 42 seconds? Because that's where they can, if they win that fight, they can really start grabbing back control of the map. But I think you eventually have to take a fight, and I think this is the timing to do so. They're going to look for it.
They're going to go for it here as Deft is going to immediately dash away using that Gale Force. Now trying to get into position as the teleport comes through from Chovy. He will join up with this as that's a great attract repel stun. Fly is going to go down. The Ragnarok's going to stop that shockwave from doing anything at all. And the Olaf's just popping off in this fight. 2 kills already. Keen going to go down also. Chovy grabs that kill. And unfortunately, Afreeca thought that that was their moment. But once again, Keen not able to find the targets. Of course, Featherstorm's going to be there for Deft, and Hanwha once again win the fight. Yeah,
I mean, it was a really nice attract repel, as you pointed out, and the positioning there is so easy to pull off when you have an Olaf. And that's where the Rels have been following so far, very recently. And I mean, look, the fight that I was talking about was going to happen in about 30 seconds, 45 seconds from now. And Afreeca decided, okay, we've got a window here. We've got Keen in good position. They put the Orianna orb on top of him, and they looked for a really hard engage. But Hanwha Esports are just, this is not the fight to take for Afreeca Freecs. They were not hitting their spike yet. They didn't have a positional advantage. They were looking for a fight in mid lane. And, I mean, sometimes you see blood in the water and you commit. I mean, look, the Hens gets the orb. It was actually onto him, not onto Keen. It goes forward, but, like, once the Ornhorn fails, it's just a front-to-back team fight here for Hanwha Esports. And Rel just goes in, stun comes through, and I mean, it's just so much value from the Olaf. The damage output is insane because Afreeca don't have the slow team fight they need later on. Like, later on, obviously, that's when they're going to have Bang is going to be able to do real damage, but later on, you might be able to, you know, slowly get control of a Drake pit, control vision, get a big Ornhorn as they try to walk in, but just use it straight up in the mid lane like that after the shockwave isn't good. It just felt really desperate, and I felt like if they had just waited a little bit longer, they could have had a better fight.
And also the fact that Deft waited so perfectly for his Featherstorm. He managed to get out the headbutt from Lehens. It meant that Lehens didn't really have the ability to get in there. Yes, he can pulverize Flash and things like that, but he doesn't have the mobility that the headbutt provides you for the rest of that fight. And that, coupled with the fact that the Ornhorn then gets 0 value, just means that there just weren't enough tools, and Hanwha just runs over the top of Afreeca, especially because Arthur built Spirit Visage. There is no Grievous Wounds outside of 1 Ignite that wasn't used. And Magic Resist, pretty valuable against this team.
Yeah.
You already said that.
Yeah.
So the Olaf is basically unkillable right now until, you know, the right items are picked up. Yes, there's a Void stuff now at least being headed towards by Fly, but I don't know whether that's going to be enough to alleviate what is going to be a huge problem. There's even, you know, the Gordrinker Spirit Visage wombo combo of self-healing for Morgan at the same time. Like, both of these bruises are just huge, and it's going to be so difficult for Afreeca to even touch them, as Deft just free hitting over the wall. Keen has to go back, and Hanwha Life are just in complete control, and Afreeca didn't have the answers for anything that Hanwha had put out.
Might just lose the game right here, too. I mean, if they try to contest this, they're going to have a really bad time. I mean, look at the push in mid. Arthur just standing there to give that extra damage with the Baron buff. And, I mean, they're just going to get 2 inhibitor turrets here. If you don't do anything as Afreeca, you're going to lose 2 inhibitors minimum, probably. If you do engage, you're probably just going to lose the fight.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it's a
why wasn't
lose-lose
there
situation.
like 1 Oblivion or like purchased? Why didn't that happen?
Red just got 1. I mean, but it's very late.
Okay, there we go. Saved. Here we go. Like 2 inhibitors are going down, but at least we managed to finally buy an Oblivion Orb. Oh no, don't worry. Bramble Vest was there, so you know that's gonna spread the Grievous Wounds around. I don't know. Some odd item choices for Afreeca, on top of the fact that they just didn't do a lot and then lost the game.
I mean, this game was lost in the top lane, for sure. And then Dread lost control of the jungle because there were 2 jungles for Hanwha Life Esports, like I was, you know, joking earlier. I mean, non-stop, Morgan was harassing Dread, was denying him farm, was making it so that he couldn't rotate safely. And, you know, from that stage on, the map was just opened up. I mean, all the free farm that Chovy had in the side lane, because they just didn't have vision to rotate up to kill him. Because if we walk in and you're like, oh, let's rotate up and kill Chovy, then suddenly, where is Morgan? Oh, he's in the jungle, and he kills our jungle before, you know, he kills Dread before he can even get to the top lane, before he can even arrive there, or forces him to back away. And the map control and the vision control was just stellar this game for Hanwha Life Esports. Once they got a small lead, they snowballed it really hard. And Afreeca now are never going to get that defensive fight around the Drake that they really desperately needed to take moments ago, because there's 2 inhibitors down. So the vision control, the lane push, is just always going to be against them. The Drake is going to be up before those inhibitors respawn, but I don't even know if this game goes on longer than that, as Afreeca have to try to make a play here, and it is just so desperate.
This is getting really, really hard for Afreeca. You can see the jungle lit up like a Christmas tree. Lehens, you know, going for the longest walk ever, but he's going to have to walk over like 15 control wards to get into a backline. Ornhorn once again comes down as Chovy's going to flash it. Over the wall goes Arthur as Lehens. Very deep, but is at least going to get the headbutt back. In goes Bang to try and take down Chovy, but they're so far behind. The Magnet Storm value is gigantic. Kai'Sa already dead. Keen's going to die as well. It's another double kill for this Olaf. Make it a triple as Fly trying to run for the hills. Lehens as well. I mean, is this going to be the Olaf Penta? Are we going to do it? As there it is, the Quadra kill comes forward. Deft steals away the Penta like a jerk, but the game is over. Hanwha Life are just going to cruise to a victory at 32 minutes. And Afreeca, it felt like they just did nothing and then lost the game, as Deft gives a big old thumbs up, goes golden, and that's a dead Nexus. Congratulations.